Welcome back to Faith on Film, where we raid your church library in search of the good stuff. My name is Nathan.
And I'm Stephanie. In 1946, a little movie called It's a Wonderful Life came out. You may have heard of it, if you're an avid film buff, I suppose. This classic tale about a man rediscovering the joys of his life, courtesy of a guardian angel, has been a staple of the Christmas movie niche for years. So, naturally, there have been many knockoffs and, in general, It's a Wonderful Life wannabes. And that brings us to today's movie, One Magic Christmas, starring Mary Steenburgen and Harry Dean Stanton.
Why do we call this movie a ripoff? Well, it starts with an angel being given its assignment to help a person rediscover joy around Christmas time. Wow. Not even hiding it, are we?
But Nathan, he doesn't make it so she was never born. He makes it so her husband's dead.
Alright, Gideon, your assignment is a woman named Ginny Granger. She's taking life too seriously and needs to rediscover the joy of Christmas.
All right, sir. What would you have me do?
Kill her husband.
What? Gosh, sir, that seems a little drastic. Couldn't we help her financially? I could show her boss his past, present, and future.
Nope. Kill the husband. You know what? Make her think that her kids are dead for a couple hours, too. That'll really show her.
There are far easier ways to help someone see how precious their family is than letting them think they're murdered.
Nope. Death is the only answer.
Sir, I'm afraid you've gone mad with power.
So this is a parody of It's a Wonderful Life, right? Kind of like a Blackadder Christmas Carol? She's gonna see how much worse her life could be?
No. That would be clever. This movie is pretty genuine about the story it's trying to tell. It just kind of falls flat in its face while doing it. Oh, I should probably mention that Disney made this movie, and it was released in theaters.
Why? It looks like a TV movie.
Apparently, this was good enough for cinemas in 1985.
Curse you, Canadian Disney!
That is hardly the strangest thing in this movie. So, you know how Clarence said that he was a human, and after he died he became an angel second class? Well, in this movie, Gideon says that he was also a human who died, and he died on Christmas. So he came back as a Christmas angel.
That seems like a good way to get disappointing angels.
Hi, I'm here to restore your Veterans Day spirit.
Oh, that's great. I served 2 tours of duty in Korea. Which war did you fight in?
I actually didn't. I'm just a civilian who died on Veterans Day. I'm sorry. I'll show myself out.
Speaking of confusing theology, the person who gives Gideon his assignment is Nicholas. As in Saint Nicholas.
Wait a minute! Nicholas? I just assumed that the Nicholas he was referring to was another angel, sort of like Joseph. So, you die on Christmas, and you come back as a Christmas angel, and you work for Santa.
Yeah, it's full-blown Santa.
Did God just decide to outsource this one?
Oh, they don't even mention God.
Oh, God's into this movie? Then it's not Faith on Film. I'm out.
Sit down. They kind of treat Santa like he's God. There, shockingly, is some overlap between Santa and God elsewhere in media. We've seen Santa used as a metaphor for God in the likes of the Polar Express. We've seen God used as a legal precedent for Santa in the remake of The Miracle on 34th Street. And then there's A Christmas Carol. Okay, stay with me on this one. Now, while the Ghost of Christmas Present isn't ever identified as Father Christmas, he nevertheless has a lot of the iconography associated with that character. And it just so happens that it is this ghost that says that the Christian churches don't speak for him when they're doing uncharitable things, implying he's also the Christian God. Now, this can seem weird to many mainstream Christians, but you need to remember that Dickens was a Unitarian, so it wouldn't seem that odd to him to have the Christian God and pagan gods be facets of the same reality.
Did you have a point to this?
Oh, right. While all of those examples had some sort of purpose or logic to them, this doesn't. You just die on Christmas, become a Christmas angel, and you work for Santa for some reason.
the really funny part is Nicholas of Myra was also just a man, a nice man. And traditionally he died on December 6th. So by this movie's own logic, he's not even a Christmas angel. He's a December 6th angel. So why does he get to be in charge? Why are you so sad?
Well, it's Valentine's Day and everyone
I'm the Valentine's Day angel.
Well, yeah, but everybody says you need to have someone special in your life in order to feel happy at all. Yes, I don't. Are you here to get me a partner?
I was actually going to give you a lecture about the different kinds of love. Can you be happy anyway?
And then there's the elves.
They're not elves. Santa said so.
Okay, yes, the elves are just normal people. Ginny's daughter recognizes one as somebody she knew, but she thought he died.
You didn't? Are you sure they're not dead?
Well, I kind of thought Santa just spirited them away to the North Pole.
I thought this was their afterlife.
Then why wouldn't they be angels?
I don't know. National Secretary Day? What does one do for National Secretary Day?
Give her a gift card.
Okay. As much fun as I am having with how the afterlife supposedly works in this universe, we should probably focus on the thing about this movie that really infuriates me, and that would be the story. So, Ginny Granger, insert your own Harry Potter joke here, played by Mary Steenburgen, is a down-on-her-luck grocery store clerk. Her husband is unemployed, and her family is 10 days away from being evicted from their home because they were living in a company house. So, naturally, she's a little stressed out right now. Not to mention, working in customer service around the holidays can be very soul-sucking. And it complicates matters because her children are young enough where they're not quite at the age where they can really understand all the implications of their situation. Well, okay, her kids are too young. But, what's her husband's excuse?
Jack seems pretty willfully ignorant of their pending crisis. When Ginny asks him to pack, because they're getting kicked out, he says he'd rather work on bikes for the neighborhood kids. When Ginny says she bought one present each for their kids, Jack says, "Oh, well, we have $5,000 in the bank. We'll take out a couple hundred and buy some more on Monday."
Hold it. I thought Christmas wasn't about presents. So, why isn't one gift for each kid good enough? Please tell me the movie is on her side.
No. Jack's whimsy and lack of financial responsibility is presented as virtuous. And the best part, when she says he needs to think about getting a job, he acts like she's being totally unreasonable. You are 10 days away from being evicted, sir. Maybe your wife, who wants you and your kids to not starve, isn't the bad guy. Now that I think about it, he's home all day, and she's still the one preparing all the meals. I'm on her side. I'd be stressed too.
Can I please send Jack Arnold over to have a nice long talk with this guy? Jack is saying that he really wants to open a bicycle shop, and he's told that he has a talent for making really unique bikes, which is not actually seen. A bike is a bike is a bike is a bike, but whatever. Okay, so say he's good at making bikes. We're going to see him looking at some properties, right? See him maybe try to check out a space or something to rent, try to see if he can get a discount or something. None of that happens, does it? He just makes bikes from their basement that they're not going to have soon.
Come to think of it, do they even have a home to move into?
No. They're gonna live with Jack's grandpa, and he's remarkably cool with this. The lack of support that Ginny gets in this movie is really infuriating to me. There's even a point where she mentions to her husband how difficult it is to maintain the Christmas spirit when working in customer service because of all the greed and the commercialism that you're just steeped in. And he just shrugs her off. And later, as they're going for a walk, she starts to talk to her husband about her father and how he was a hotel manager, and that's ultimately all he ever was. And she wonders out loud if being a grocery store clerk is all she's ever going to be. To which her husband replies, "If you're trying to make me feel better, you're doing a bad job." Well, screw you! Your wife was just pouring her heart out to you, and that's your response? You know what? I'm changing my mind. I want this guy dead.
The script operates under this assumption that any feeling less than, well, golly gee, everything is wonderful and I'm happy to be a part of it all, is a damnable sin and needs to be corrected, even if the circumstances are quite the opposite. Look, I'm all for optimism. I'm a moose wearing Christmas bells. But there needs to be an upper limit. You can't just ignore problems because they make you feel bad. That's neither an emotionally healthy or responsible way to go about life.
Christmas is not the end-all be-all, guys. Christmas movies, by their very nature, have the sort of need to really build up how special the holiday is. Which, okay, it is. But it's not the meaning of life. And there really isn't a correct way to do Christmas. You can go without a tree. One gift per person is fine. Heck, you can spend it alone if you want to. A lot of Christmas is about the memories you spend with your family. You can go without popping $80 for a Christmas tree, especially in a situation like this.
It's not even their own tree. It's the tree in the town square.
Sure, you're homeless now, but at least the town got its Christmas tree.
It has a really bad habit of talking down to working class people. Like how Jenny having to work on Christmas Eve is presented as this horrible thing. I don't know if you realize this. Christmas Eve, not a holiday. Christmas is. But more importantly, yeah, customer service people have to work on Christmas sometimes. And you know what? They're not the only ones. Doctors, police, firefighters, nurses. I almost said cops. Contrary to what movies might tell you, normal life doesn't just screech to a halt because Christmas comes around. And, you know, they shouldn't be painted as the bad guys for that. If anybody's the bad guy here, it's the jerk customers or her jerk boss. But no, Jenny's the problem because she's not entirely happy.
She's not prioritizing being in close proximity to her children all the time instead of being their sole source of income. Oh yes, how dare that terrible woman work a degrading job that she hates to make sure her children don't starve. How dare she? The spend time with your kids lesson is a favorite in family entertainment, but usually the protagonist who has to learn this lesson is a big-time lawyer or a CEO. You know, somebody who can actually afford to be all whimsical with their time and money. Not a grocery store cashier who is the sole source of income for her children and is 10 days away from being foreclosed. Ginny learns her lesson. She decides she's gonna take Christmas Eve off to be with her family, and she doesn't care whether she gets fired or not. I want to kick my TV. Yes, 2 unemployed parents and no home is a moral victory because Christmas is just that special.
George Bailey wasn't too busy trying to live to celebrate Christmas. He was too busy trying to die. It's kind of an important distinction. And for that matter, It's a Wonderful Life doesn't even need to be set at Christmas. It adds some emotional resonance to the climax, but you could really do that story at any time of year. if you tried to take It's One Magic Christmas at any other season, she looks like the hero, he looks like a moron, and the happy ending is either him shaping up or her divorcing him.
This movie is not abundantly clear that the tragic parts that are coming up are an It's a Wonderful Life alternate reality type scenario. So you kind of need to already know that there's going to be a happy ending. Because, man, does this movie suddenly turn into a downer. About a couple days before Christmas, Abby goes into her mom's store to tell her that her dad is at the bank. And Ginny realizes that Jack is probably taking out the rest of their money, and she goes to confront him about it. But before she can get there, another down-on-his-luck guy who goes into the same bank and shoots Jack dead and steals Ginny's car with her kids inside. The car goes off a bridge and into the river. So just like that, Ginny has lost everything. Fortunately, Gideon was there to save the children. So it's just Jack who's dead.
Gideon maintains contact with Ginny's daughter, Abby, and tells her that he will help her mommy rediscover the joy of Christmas. But the unfortunate implications of this interaction are too disturbing to overlook. Gideon approaches her on the street, tells her not to tell anybody that they've spoken, and she even runs away from home to go with him to the North Pole at one point. Even at 85, people thought this was creepy.
You know, oddly enough, Gideon is actually pretty useless in the third act. Really, all he does is tell Abby to go to the North Pole to see Santa about making her dad not dead, and then Santa tells her that only Ginny can really do that. Why didn't... Either Santa should have just come down himself and told her that the first time, or Gideon should have just told her that. Having both of these characters here for... Having Gideon take Ginny to Santa, only to have Santa tell Ginny to tell... Having Gideon take Abby to Santa, only to have Santa tell Abby that she has to go back to Ginny, is just making the final act needlessly complicated.
Gideon's not the only superfluous character. Caleb's even more so.
Oh, that's her brother, by the way. That's Abby's older brother, by the way, who we haven't really mentioned.
Yeah. We don't talk about him, because he doesn't do anything. He just reacts to things. He doesn't even do that well. Like, he was rescued from the river by Gideon, he saw Gideon, and he still doesn't believe Abby when she says she met Gideon.
Ginny has to mail a letter to Santa Claus. It's rediscovering her inner child here that brings Jack back. If this movie was clearly geared towards adults, this wouldn't be that big of a deal, I suppose. But this is a movie that is geared towards families, and families have small children. And children don't always understand things. So when you're going to tackle something as serious as death in a family movie, you probably shouldn't present an easy out like this. What would an impressionable 6-year-old maybe take away from this movie? They just didn't rediscover their childhood hard enough? Santa can bring back their loved ones? But again, in the end, I think the most infuriating part of the whole thing is Jack is ultimately rewarded. Ginny gives them their life savings so we can open that bicycle shop. Because as we all know, every time you open a little shop, it will always work out.
Hey, Steph, off to the bank to get our life savings. I'm going to open up a comic book store.
Okay, safe half fare for me to open a movie theater. Oh, and we're changing the locks.
Gotta keep the crazy people out.
Oh, and their financial situation did not change, by the way. They still don't have a house. This movie tried hard, I guess, but at the end of the day, there's just too many problematic lessons here for me to really get behind. There's a reason that Disney's kind of let this one fall by the wayside.
They're more proud of Chicken Little than they are this movie.
We didn't even really talk about the technical aspects, did we?
No, it's shot like a TV movie, it has the stakes of a TV movie, it has the pacing of a TV movie. But they put it in theaters anyway. It's for all these reasons and more that we're giving this one a bad rating.
Hold it. You spent money on this?
It was $2.
That's still too much. Here. Yay. Thank you for joining us for Faith on Film. I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Nathan. We'll see you next time. Bringing peace to all the world and goodwill to men.
It's time to get into St. Patrick's Day spirits!
Which would be what exactly?
It's whiskey!
Okay. Look, I'm kind of on my way to an AA meeting right now, so I gotta go, okay?
But you gotta get into St. Patrick's Day spirit, lass!
Okay, why are you so insistent on this?
It's me jorb!
Okay, hang on, are you even Irish?
No, they just told me to do the accent on my first date. It's not me fault.
That's $1 too many. Here. Happy 4th of July!
I am card-carrying member of Communist Party.
See ya.
What's the matter? Did your balls drop off?
Let's go get a blooper reel.
Oh yeah, it is! It's not every day I'm that witty. Disappointing angels by the line.
Hey, honey, I'm off to the bank to go to the comic.
Our finest gifts we bring,